discuss mise-en-scène. Mise-en-scène, as the word suggests, is a French word that were used by the French critics to explain certain aspects of filmmaking. They were studying classical Hollywood cinema and were trying to figure out auteurs, or let's say the auteur directors of classical Hollywood cinema, which functions, who functioned in the industrial set of production. For them, the signature of an auteur can be found in the mise-en-scène. Now, technically, mise-en-scène is actually anything and everything that is on a frame. It can be props, it can be the lights, it can be the actors, it can be the settings, and anything. But for the French New Wave critics and later on the directors, or let's say the pre-French New Wave Cahiers du Cinéma critics, for them, mise-en-scène is the medium, or let's say mise-en-scène is something through which the director or the auteur leaves his signature. For them, a good director or an auteur should have a mise-en-scène. A mise-en-scène that creates the meaning of the world that the director is trying to present. It gives us the context of the things we are about to see. But technical, if you want to think about technical definition of mise-en-scène, we can quote from Bordwell and Thompson from Film Art, and here I quote, "Mise-en-scène as a whole helps compose the film shot in space and time, setting, lighting, costume, and figure behavior interact to create patterns of foreground and background, line and shape, light and dark, and movements." Quote end. Now, there can be four major categorization of mise-en-scène, like four major elements of mise-en-scène one can think about. These are the general categories. 1, setting. 2, costume and makeup. 3, lighting. 4, figure of expression, or let's say acting. Now, let's first discuss setting. Setting is something through which the director kind of controls the space he's about to create. Now, he can decide to create his space in general sense in two ways. One, he can decide to create his set. He can also decide to use the real location. Now, if we are using an already existing location, then also we can think about two furthermore subdivisions of which of how the mise-en-scène actually functions. In an already existing locale, that locale can be, or that setting can be used in again two more ways. One, to record the space as it is, that is, to minimize, or let's say to have a minimum intervention into the space, to create a sense of real space where maximum drama and the sense of realism will be functional, where the director will not intervene into the space and will let the space be a character in the film. And one such example, or let's say such big example, would be the movement called Italian Neorealism. One big example would be all the films, definitely, but let's say Bicycle Thieves, where the city or the post-World War city, the context, the characters, everything becomes the part of the narrative. The setting becomes a part of the narrative. Another way that a real location can be used is to emphasize a certain narrative against a given locale. Let's take the example of Once Upon a Time in America by Sergio Leone. He is making a Western. He is making the Western in Italy. But for him, Western means John Ford, Western means Utah, Monument Valley, and etc. That is why even if he is setting his, or let's say he is shooting his film in Italy, but for him the real location of Utah, Monument Valley, and etc. becomes symbolic of to Western, to Sergio Leone. That is why he's using, however, he's creating the set in Italy to create the set for Western. But when he goes to the place, to the real location, for him that location becomes a tribute, not only a tribute, but also becomes symbolic to Western, or the genre called Western. So the next section is, another use of setting is the constructed. As we said, that when a set can be constructed. Now, even if we are creating a constructed set, even that can be subcategorized into two groups. One, constructed an artificial set for authenticity, and set constructed to stylization. Now, set constructed to authenticity, big example is classical Hollywood cinema, or any normative or any mainstream cinema that creates a set to give you a sense of reality. Unlike going to the real location, in such filmmakings, they will create, or let's say recreate, say for example a bedroom to look exactly like a bedroom. Instead of shooting it in a real location, they are creating the sense, or the sense of the space. They're creating the sense of the space with every detail and creating it to authenticate the time and the space. Let's say the periodicals, any form of periodicals function like that. Two is for stylization, where space is created, let's say, to create a sense of style, to create a sense of, or let's say, when the space becomes mystical, when the space becomes the site of something. Let's say one film movement like German Expressionism, where space becomes the most stylized form, where space becomes, or space overpowers the human beings, the characters and everything, and it almost mimics another form of art, like say painting and everything, in case of German Expressionism cinema and etc. The next element of mise-en-scène is makeup. Makeup is used to enhance the acting of the actors, the performances of the actors, their expressions, their presence, and also to present the star in the frame. Now, makeup can also be used in several ways. I mean, let's again categorize four broader sections under which makeup can be understood. One is lack of makeup for intense dramatic action. Lack of makeup in the sense that where there is no use of makeup to use, or to bring up the most effective dramatic effect possible, in intense dramatic effect possible. One example, and the big example for us, would be Falconetti's face in Passion of Joan of Arc, where the expression and the passion of Joan of Arc, her pain, her suffering, everything is underlined through not using makeup. The next, another way of understanding, or let's say using makeup, would be unnoticed makeup for, again, a dramatic action. One, I mean, before we talked about lack of makeup, but we are talking now about unnoticed makeup. So we are using makeup, but we are not highlighting facial features. We are not highlighting that the face has been made up. What we do here is we are doing a kind of a makeup where we kind of give a sense as if no makeup kind of thing, a face we are looking at. This example, I mean, one can connect actually in a film called Vivre sa vie. Anna Karina, the character called Nana, who's a prostitute who goes to a cinema hall to watch what? Passion of Joan of Arc. The Passion of Joan of Arc, there you see no makeup, intense action, and the passion and the suffering of Joan of Arc through the face of Falconetti. And Anna Karina, who's looking at that image, who again is a prostitute, who is a character in Vivre sa vie, who has makeup definitely, but who has a kind of no makeup kind of an effect, who is looking at that image, is again probably identifying with the passion and the suffering of Joan of Arc, and is also crying. Now, this is a kind of an interesting thing that Jean-Luc Godard is kind of, connecting these two films and almost connecting these two characters philosophically. The third elements of mise-en-scène would be makeup to highlight certain facial features or certain features of the body of the star. Now, this kind of, let's say, use of makeup would emerge from definitely a star system where certain stars are produced and certain, as Laura Mulvey would say, the fetish. She would use the word fetish. So among many things, the face also becomes the important. I mean, the face of the star becomes important. So not only the face, any body part that needs a makeup, a special highlight that one can identify with a particular star, like the face of Greta Garbo or leg of Marlene Dietrich, or Marilyn Monroe as the body. So to underline, to highlight that feature of that particular actor, the feature of that particular star for which she is famous for, or to underline the facial expressions, even for acting, such makeup is very much used, where you can highlight the certain facial features. Another use of makeup is makeup for stylization, and this is mostly used for films where you have some stock characters, like say Dracula, or in expressionist films like A Somnambulist and etc., where you have some set ideas in your mind which needs, which also has some painted faces or some characters which are mythic characters and etc. So to stylize or to codify that character, you have another way of and that makeup, and that definitely does not go as per with the natural makeup or any other form of makeup. Now, the next element of mise-en-scène would be lighting. Now, lighting is one important element in mise-en-scène. Why? Because lighting not only gives you the sense of the world that the director is creating, but lighting also introduces you to the world you are about to enter. Say, for example, a Noah, which is generally a light and shadow game, a night world of shady city, urban, anxiety-prone space and etc. It is through the light, and we know that chiaroscuro lighting is a form of light that kind of through German expressionism and through film noir, till film noir, it got its currency. So lighting kind of gives you the idea into the idea as to which world you are about to enter. So the purpose of the lighting is not just to illuminate, it not just to let's say think about to enlighten, or to do some zone lightings, or to only fill up somebody with lights. Lights have its own purposes. Light has its own life. Light has its own way of functioning in the mise-en-scène, which might highlight certain parts, which might add in certain things, and definitely will add into the meaning of the cinema. Even for lighting, we can think of some subcategories. First, let's think about the three ways we can think about. The basic three ways of understanding light is key light, fill light, and backlight. The key light, the light that comes from and comes from the front, and it enlightens maximum area it's possible. The backlight that comes from the background definitely it gives you the halo. It gives you the shape of the figure, and fill light that fills up the shadows and everything. Now, this is the three-point lighting is a very old classical Hollywood way of lighting, but definitely there will be more complicated ways of lighting things when you do certain zonal lights and etc. But we are actually going to talk about certain features of lighting. Let's say one, when lighting is used for highlight and shadows. This definitely one, the easy example, or let's say the example of such lighting would be the film noir, where the shadows of the blinds, shadows or the hard shadows of the figures of the street, and low light and the characters, the femme fatale in that light, etc. It creates the world of noir. Now, there is also a debate whether to call noir a genre or a style in itself, because this light and shadow actually defines noir.
Hello, baby. Anybody else in the house?
Nobody. Why?
What's that music?
Radio up the street.
Just like the first time I came here, isn't it? We were talking about automobile insurance. Only you were thinking about murder. I was thinking about that anklet.
And what are you thinking about now?
I'm all through thinking, baby. I just came to say goodbye.
Goodbye? Where are you going?
You're the one that's going, baby, not me. I'm getting off the trolley car right at this corner.
Suppose you stop being fancy. Let's have it, whatever it is.
All right, I'll tell you. A friend of mine's got a funny theory. He says when two people commit a murder, it's sort of like they're riding on a trolley car together. One can't get off without the other. They're stuck with each other.
Another form of lighting, or the use of lighting, would be lighting for shape and texture of the object. So a light can very much define the object, the object you need to highlight. It can define the shape, the borders, the texture with a proper intensity of light. One can take out the texture of the surface of the skin or of the object you are about to show. 3, the lighting quality. One should understand lighting in terms of lighting quality. Another is lighting through direction, and to lighting to determine the source. So lighting quality, as I was talking about, let's again differentiate it in 2 forms. One is a hard light and the other is a soft light. Soft light is generally used for glamour photos, to glamorize characters and etc. When it comes to introducing stars, many a times we have seen using soft light. Even like glamour photography, food photography, certain way of using soft lights have been seen. Hard light, on the other hand, is frontal, very hard, which will create, let's say, a sense of a very strong shadow at the background. The next thing I was talking about is lighting through direction. When we understand lighting through direction, that is one is the frontal light. So frontal would be something when you kind of try to create a sense of a flat space between the background and the object in the foreground. Let's say in many films, like Jean-Luc Godard will try such experiments where he will place his characters against the wall in a way, and only source of light would be the front light. It will almost be like like as if somebody is taking a passport size photo, as if there is no mid ground. It flattens out the depth. Lighting direction, another is from background, that is the backlighting. Backlighting kind of creates a sense of a contour in the characters. Contours as in the highlights, the limits or the boundaries of the characters. Let's say if you can think about the second volume of Kill Bill, the Kill Bill 2, where Uma Thurman, the bride, is driving the car and she's announcing that she's about to kill Bill. The light from the back, it creates almost a halo and a little thin line of illumination in the borderline, in the bordering her figure. That would be the backlighting.
But it wasn't from lack of trying, I can tell you that. Actually, Bill's last bullet put me in a coma. A coma I was to lie in for 4 years. When I woke up, I went on what the movie advertisements refer to as a roaring rampage of revenge. I roared, and I rampaged, and I got bloody satisfaction. I've killed a hell of a lot of people to get to this point. But I have only one more. The last one. The one I'm driving to right now. The only one left. And when I arrive at my destination, I am gonna kill Bill.
Another lighting, another interesting use of lighting from the direction we can see is the underlighting. Underlighting is somewhere where the character is sitting like this and the source of the light is from down. So it is coming from under and it is illuminating the upper part of the face or anything, the object or the human being. Another form is lighting from the top. So lighting from the top, it has been done in classical Hollywood cinema for many time where one example, ideal case of doing it would be when one wants to highlight the face. Say, so the top lighting, it kind of creates a zone. If you are, even if you are trying to highlight a face, it kind of, when the all other part of the space is darkened, only a selected zone is highlighted on, and the source of light is from the top. So it kind of illuminates the face from the upper, from direction from above. The last point is lighting to determine the source. Now this is important because it is from perspectival painting also only that we have seen that there is a tendency, there is the tendency of realism is to locate the source of light. Like if it is a daylight you are painting or if it is a daylight that you are shooting, there should be hints enough that it is daytime. In the same logic, if it is a nighttime you are shooting or you are painting, there should be hints enough that it is a nighttime situation. So for that, we either keep the doors open or either we keep the, windows open to show that it's daytime. Or maybe we switch on the lights and other bulbs and etc. in the room to denote that it's nighttime and the source of light is the once the lights have been switched off switched on in the room. Now, one interesting example of this detection of source of light, determination of source of light, is Stanley Kubrick's film where he kind of uses the candlelight, as a source of light. It's Barry Lyndon, the film. He uses candlelight to be the source of his light, and interestingly, because candlelight is, not easily can be replicated through the normal lenses, so he actually made NASA to produce certain lenses for him where he could recreate the candlelit situations where the candlelight would be the only source of light and the characters will be lit or other things will be lit through the candlelight source of candlelight.
And professors of that science always welcome.
Pourquoi pas la santé? Tous, oui. Rien ne va plus.
The next element of mise-en-scène is figure of expression. Now, figure of expression is nothing but acting. When the characters become one of the part of the mise-en-scènes, like their placements, where they're walking, how they're moving, what are they doing. There are certain acts that underline certain events of the narrative. They're doing something mischievous. They're doing something happy. They're placing certain objects, hiding certain objects, finding out certain things. In a tension situation, they're placed in a certain manner. So all these things are part of mise-en-scène. Also, the expression, like we discussed in makeup, that you have a stylized makeup probably for a particular way of acting, stylized acting, expressions, even naturalist acting. All these things become a part of the mise-en-scène. Now, the last element we are about to discuss is the costume. Costume is used in a different way because a filmmaker can use costume in multiple ways. So costume can be used to authenticate the character, to give you a sense of authenticity, like this belongs to a certain time. Let's say Saving Private Ryan or any army or military film where you have a kind of a costume to prove that, to give a sense of authenticity that it belongs to a certain time or a certain navy or army or whatever. Another way of using costume would be for stylization. Let's say in Once Upon a Time in the West, the use of the jacket that they were wearing, all of them are wearing a similar long jackets or long coats. Now that becomes a style because whoever is wearing that becomes symbolic to or become a part of that gang. So that is how it not only creates a style, but it also kind of symbolizes the presence of the gang, the coming of the gang, and etc.
And Frank?
Frank sent us.
Did you bring a horse for me?
Looks like we're shy of one horse.
You brought too many.
Third way of understanding or using costume would be costume as a motif. Many a times a certain color of the dress or a certain costume comes back like a leitmotif, comes back like a motif, or is present as a motif in the narrative. Let's say the poster that was created for Matrix or Matrix Reloaded, I guess, the second Matrix, where Monica Bellucci was wearing something in white, where in Matrix everyone wears black. So she becomes a motif because her wearing white, whatever the dress she wears, that code is not that important. The code here important is the color white, the usage of the color white. So this is how one can use the costume in terms of motifs, in terms of things that can bring back. Now, if you have a world of black and you are bringing back a white, so you know that you are bringing certain character with certain added meanings and etc. And the last category or last way, let's say, director uses costume is costume coordinated with settings. Mostly like in period pieces where you have a setting like we already discussed, a setting, a constructed set to give a sense of authenticity of a time, of a past, and etc. And you kind of create the costume accordingly. Now, this doesn't necessarily have any reference to the original past, not necessary. We do not know that how to represent Cleopatra. Even from paintings, Egyptian paintings, we do not know how to, what we should make Cleopatra wear. But we have kind of, created a sense of a past, and we have kind of codified, okay, this is a kind of a costume that kind of goes side by side or that goes with the setting that one has created. So this is it. We have kind of summarized, not exhaustively definitely, but we have kind of summarized what mise-en-scène could mean or what mise-en-scène is. We have also categorized mise-en-scène in 4 general and broader parts and categories. And we have also sub-categorized those sections. I hope this kind of gives you a holistic idea and will lead you to further more readings. Thank you.